Shalom. This is Lion, and this is just a quick video response to TEOTW dealing with one of his latest videos with DNA. And I did email him about some of the inaccurate information that he had in it, and we had a disagreement, so I just came here to point out some of those inaccuracies that were in his video. And so first of all, I just want to point out that when I'm done pointing this out, don't flood his channel with hate or anything like that. But I do want to say we always need a fact check. Again, there was no fact checking when I looked at the comments of the video. I was wondering if anybody had pointed out some of the inaccurate and wrong information when it dealt with DNA. Even though the DNA that he was talking about wasn't for too long, there was still a lot of misinformation. But like I always say, we got to keep fact checking our teachers, and that's what I did, and now I'm here. So, all right, let's begin. So, at the 1 hour, 1 minute, and 17 second mark to the 1 hour, 2 minute, and 54 second mark of TEOTW's Which Way to Zion video, TEOTW says Wikipedia, the Wikipedia page titled Mushabian culture, he says that it's talking about E1B1A. But this is wrong. It's actually talking about E1B1B1A, also called E-V38. However, Niger-Congo and Bantu people, who are the real descendants of Israel, are E1B1A, also called E-V38.
Richard says that the E1B1B lineage is from North Africa to the Levant and then to Europe. Entering the late Mesolithic Natufian culture, E1B1A2 subclade has been associated with the spread of farming from the Middle East into Europe. So they went from the Middle East into Europe. Who? E1B1A, E1B1A2, and E1B1A went where? Into Europe. Okay, so it also says entering the late Mesolithic Natufian culture, E1B1A2 subclade has been associated with the spread of farming from the Middle East to Europe, either during or just before the Neolithic transition of E1B1B1 lineages are found throughout Europe, but are distributed along a south to north climb with an E1B1A mode in the Balkans. Listen to that. Okay, so it's talking about E1B1A, which is what everybody say is the Israelites' DNA, right, in the Balkans. I'm just saying, okay, look at it for yourself, okay? So these lineages are found throughout Europe, but are distributed along a south to north climb with an E1B1A mode in the Balkans. What's the Balkans? That's the Caucasus. Now, does that mean these are white folks? No, because we know that most of the people with E1B1A are black. How do you rectify it? But let me continue.
All right. So he said about 5, maybe 7 times E1B1A in this article. And I just want to point out that it does not say, oops, sorry about that. It does not say E1B1A. So here's in the video, it says E1B1B lineages, which is not E1B1A. And then again, it says E1B1B1A2, which is not E1B1A, but E-V13 right beside it. And then, let me move my mouse so you can see, E1B1B lineages, E1B1B1A2, which is E-V13, and then it says E1B1B1 lineages, Again, still no E1B1A. And then right here where he says E1B1A a lot, he says it mostly at these 2 points. E1B1B1A. And then it says mode in the Balkans. Nowhere did it say E1B1A. It's all E1B1B, just different subclades of E1B1B. But let's go to the actual article, which I have right here. So this is Mushabian culture. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Mushabian. So what's interesting about your computer that I'm going to teach y'all, maybe y'all don't know about this feature, it's kind of cool. But, and as you see, this is on Wikipedia, where you had the article from. You can go right here where you see the 3 dots, and then you go down here to find. And you can type in whatever you're looking for, whatever you want. Like if you want Mushabian, it takes you straight to it. So that's a cool feature if y'all didn't know about that. I'm pretty sure people probably know about it. But anyways, so let's type in E1B1A and see if it finds it in here. E1B1A. And you see right here it says 0. 0, 0. There's nothing there. There's no E1B1A even mentioned in this article. This is some of the inaccurate and wrong information that was in the video, and that I told him, hey, you had some wrong information, some misinformed information, and this is something that anyone could have easily, looked into. I'm really, trying to get us Hebrews into fact checking our elders and teachers, and yeah, E1B1A is not in this article or Wikipedia page at all, and yeah, you guys, we gotta fact check. So yeah. So let's go over to what this really is. E1B1BA. So E1B1B, excuse me, E1B1B1A is E-V68. You just type it in. E1B1B1A. Right. All right, just double checking. Let's actually delete that. And let's actually bring this back up. Go over here and highlight where he says E1B1A. Bring it over here and put it in. Yep, this is it. E1B1B1A. And it's Haplogroup E-V30. E-V68. And so no, that's not E1B1A. E1B1A is E-V38. Let's type it in and find it. E1B1A. There it is, all throughout the article. E1B1A, E1B1A, also called E3A. And you even see it in the article that he has. Let's make the screen bigger. And it always goes back to it. I don't know why. But anyways, so you see it right here. I took a screenshot and put it on here for everyone to see. So it's the whole article is talking about E1B1B, and it talks about E3B, which is just another word for E1B1B. So now we go to I guess the next part of some of his unfortunately inaccurate information. And by the way, before we go into that, this is just a comparison of the 2 Wikipedia pages. This is E1B1B and this is E1B1A. I mean, the article said nothing about E1B1A, and he put so much emphasis in E1B1A in that little video he had, and it doesn't even mention it. I mean, here it's clearly E1B1B1A. So just want to point that out. E1B1B1A, also called E-V68, also called E3B, is not E1B1A, which is Israel, also called E-V38, also called E3A. Not the same people. Very distant cousins, but not the same people. So yeah, I'll probably like edit that out of the video, or something, because that's wrong. And we can't be teaching wrong information out here like this, because we know UA would use this against Israelites. And luckily, since I do believe Afro-Americans are Israel, I'm just, trying to steer us into the right direction so that they can't use, just simple information like this against us, So at the 1 hour, 2 minute, and 38 second mark through the 1 hour, 2 minute, and 45 second mark, Teo says E1B1A is in the Caucasus. He says the Balkans is the Caucasus. This is wrong. The Balkans is in the Mediterranean, not the Caucasus Mountains of Russia, Georgia, and Armenia.
With an E1B1A mode in the Balkans. Listen to that. Okay, so it's talking about E1B1A, which is what everybody say is the Israelites' DNA, right, in the Balkans. I'm just saying, okay, look at it for yourself, okay? So these lineages are found throughout Europe, but are distributed along a south to north climb with an E1B1A mode in the Balkans. What's the Balkans? That's the Caucasus.
So the Balkans is not the Caucasus. And, he always prides himself, or I'm not going to try to be rude, but he always says that, he's a researcher and people need to research, and yells at the mic about it. But this is just simple geography. So let me just show you. He says that E1B1A, which isn't even E1B1A, but in fact E1B1B1A, he says that it's in the Balkans, and the Balkans is the Caucasus. Well, as you can see there's a link that you can push to see what the Balkans is. I don't even know why he didn't push it, but the Balkans is in the Mediterranean Sea. Last I checked, the Caucasus is not in the Mediterranean Sea. The Caucasus is in between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, but it's not the Mediterranean. These are two completely separate regions, even separate people, because Balkans are a bit more tanned, and they're, the Greeks and all that, because of the African influence from ancient times. But yeah, the Balkans and the Caucasus is not the same place. I don't feel like I have to really stress that. Greece is in the Balkans, Bulgaria, Albania. Those dark-skinned, well, I wouldn't say dark-skinned, those tan-skinned, Mediterranean, curly, black-haired people. Not black people, black-haired people. But so I can show y'all on Wikipedia, just in case people don't believe me. Let's go to it. Let's remove this, and let's actually go to the Mushabian page and push Balkans. See what pops up. So when you push it, it shows you, like I just showed you, the Mediterranean, the Balkan Peninsula, and talks about the history. But and the Caucasus, of course, is in Georgia and Azbania. Sorry for that bad pronunciation. But yeah, Caucasus and Balkans is not the same place. E1B1A was not anywhere where he's saying. So yeah, let's just clear that up really quick. So now let's go to the next part. Okay, I'm getting tired of that. Sorry about this. So at the, away from the current slide. So at the 1 hour, 5 minute, 52 second mark, all the way to the 1 hour, 5 minute, and 55 second mark, TEOTW says Haplogroup G is Mushabian. This is false. Haplogroup G originated in Eastern Anatolia, Armenia, or Iran. The Haplogroup G people spread with Neolithic farmers, but haplogroup G isn't Natufian or Mushbin. That's like saying, Pygmies and Bantu people are the same because they spread with each other during migrations and live with one another, but we know that they're not the same. We know Bantu people and Pygmies are clearly different. But haplogroup G and Natufians and Neolithic farmers spread with each other, but they're not the same people. Anyways, haplogroup G isn't Mushbin. No geneticist has ever said haplogroup G is Natufian or Mushbin. If so, show me from a non-Wikipedia source and a non-Wikipedia source that's actually peer-reviewed in academic journals. And if you do find that haplogroup G is in fact Natufian and Mushbin, then I'll put in my in the community tab that I was wrong. I'll put in the community tab and cite the source in which you use to prove me wrong. But so far from all my research, haplogroup G is not Natufian or Mushbin. But it is in fact a Neolithic farmer. I will say that. It is a Neolithic farmer. But of course, all Neolithic farmers aren't the same people. I mean, there are Neolithic farmers in India, Neolithic farmers in Egypt. They're all over the place. So haplogroup G people were Neolithic farmers, but they were not Natufians and Mushbins. Those are specific ethnic groups. But so let him say it from his own words.
So if this genetic marker is the Mushabians, M201, or one of the group 6 descendants of the mutations of those genes of Africans, come on now, do I need to say anymore? But I just wanted to prove a point about what we did when we talked about genetics.
Okay, Mushabians, that's how he says it. Okay, Mushabians. I'll remember that. So, haplogroup G, let's read right here from the article. It says in 2012, a paper by Suri Rosti suggested that we estimate that the geographic origin of haplogroup G was originated somewhere nearby eastern Anatolia, Armenia, or western Iran. These are plausible locates where was around these regions. And it says down here that people carrying the haplogroup took part in the spread of the Neolithic. So here's haplogroup G in Europe, and here's one of the Neolithic people that had haplogroup G. His name is Ozzy the Iceman, who had haplogroup G, and he was found in Italy. It's found in Italy. Ozzy the Iceman, Neolithic person. And so Ozzy the Iceman, this is a reconstruction of him, of what he looked like. We're able to, of course, take bones, look and see what skin tones they had, what type of hair they had, what type of eyes they had. This is how we know, Egyptians were black and whatnot because of using this type of technology. Or this is how we knew, certain people look a certain way, even in forensic science, when police officers trying to find out a really bad decomposed body, what someone looked like. So this is what Ozzy the Iceman looked like. He had haplogroup G2A4. So let's do a little bit more reading on haplogroup G. So in a 2017 study, I'm not going to try to pronounce that word, but in a 2017 study, in a population genetics study on the Slavens of northwestern Georgia, we found that 78% of Slaven males being bearers of Y haplogroup G2A. And what's interesting about this is that they're connected to a lineage of people known as the Yamya lineage. And these were Indo-Europeans that spread from areas like the Caucasus to Europe. As a matter of fact, I'll read it right here. It says the Proto-Indo-Europeans, i.e. the Yamnia people and the related cultures, seem to have been a mixture from Eastern European hunter-gatherers and people related to the Near East, such as the Caucasus hunter-gatherers and Iran Copper Age people with a Caucasian hunter-gatherer component. So, of course, we know Proto-Indo-Europeans are people like Celts, Italians, Germans, Iranians, Greeks, and ethnic groups like this. And so the Slavians are the, not Slavians, the Savans, Savs, I'm just going to call them Vans. The Vans are Georgians. I'm going to drop the S and just say Vans. The Vans are Georgians. And this is a Van man, actually, and he has 78% of Haplogroup G2A4. His people have 78%. So at the 1 hour, 5 minute, and 13 second mark, all the way to the 1 hour, 5 minute, and 25 second mark, Teo says the people that say Haplogroup G is white folks, and this can easily be proven that Haplogroup G is white people.
The people that say, well, G is white folks. That's my DNA haplogroup. GM201.
So yeah, and the thing about it is that with Haplogroup G being in 78% of Van males who are Georgians, and the fact that some of the earliest peoples of Georgia and the Caucasus, well, that's where light skin originated from. So it says right here, there was probably a migration of populations from the Near East and Caucasus to Europe during the Mesolithic around 14,000 years ago, much earlier than the migrations associated with the Neolithic Revolution. The light skin pigmentation characteristic of modern Europeans is estimated to have spread across Europe in a selective sweep during the Mesolithic, 19,000 to 11,000 years ago. The associated TYRP1 annuals, SLC24A5 and SLC45A2 emerged around 19,000 years ago during the LMG and most likely in the Caucasus. The HERC2 variation for blue eyes first appears around 13,000 to 14,000 years ago in Italy and the Caucasus. And Haplogroup G was in Italy with Ozzy the Iceman, and it's of course seen in Georgia with the Vans. And of course, as you see to your right are Georgian peoples. It says this is typically what Georgians look like, and Georgians have Haplogroup G. So it's like, yeah, Haplogroup G is white folks. Like specifically, the Georgian ethnic group as a people have a very decent amount of G. So here's a map of G in the Caucasus, and I'll post all my sources in the video as I always do. So here are the ethnic groups. I'm not going to try to name them because these are specifically Caucasian names that I just don't know, but they have high amounts of G, which is the point. So G studies were taken all throughout the world. We tried to look up and see how many people have certain haplogroups, and we do the same thing with G. So it says in 2011, a study in South Africa found no African men with haplogroup G. It says in a 2011 study in South Africa, where he believes Israel is, no G was found among 8 African men. In a 2010 study, no G found in South Africa among 343 Southeastern Bantu speakers, or 183 Khoisan speakers. But 5.7% of 157 South African whites were G. So we find haplogroup G with South white South African Afghaners, who of course can descend from Caucasians, Georgians, but we found no G in Bantu people or in Khoisan. And when it comes to the United States, it says European ancestry, the percentage rises to about 4%. In African Americans, we're about 1% G. That's a very small amount. 1% of African Americans have G. Very small amount. So who is G found highest, though, in the world? So a study was conducted, and we found that in Torgay area of Kazakhstan, 87% were haplogroup G, and they have the highest in the world. And it's believed that G1 possibly believed to have originated in Iran. So it's possibly an ancient type of Iranian people. But anyways, the reason why I believe that haplogroup G originated with white people is because of the fact that one, haplogroup G is highest, and these people in Torgay, and Torgay sounds very similar to Torgorma in the Bible, one of the sons of Japheth. And it reads, Torgorma is among the descendants of Japheth and is thought to represent some people located in Anatolia. Medieval traditions variously claim Torgorma as the mythical ancestor of peoples in the Caucasus and Western Asia, including the Georgians, who we named, the Armenians, and some Turkic peoples. And there was a lot of Turks in Kazakhstan, of course. And so there's a lot of ancient traditions. Y'all can just pause that and read all the information that deals with Torgorma and him possibly being, Caucasian and Central Asian. And I believe because there's literally a place named slightly after him in Kazakhstan. It's very interesting how Bible and archaeology kind of meets like that. But this is also possibly why I have a slight problem with Israel being in Africa, because, who would the descendants of Japheth be, and how would someone like Torgorma fit into all of that? But anyways, we move. So haplogroup G is mostly in Kazakhstan. Here's a map. And this is why, haplogroup G, this is why Israel being in Africa will, in all honesty, be a problem for TEOTW, because haplogroup G isn't even in Africa. So if Israel is in like South Africa or Tanzania or anywhere, in sub-Saharan Africa, then how is your Y-DNA Israel if it's mostly in a completely different land? But anyways, haplogroup G is seen, this mutation exists in 90% to 95% of non-Africans. So only about 5% to 10% of Africans will have it, but it's mostly non-African because it's mostly seen in the specific Caucasian ethnic group of Georgians and Kazakhstan people. Every ethnic group has their own specific markers. And of course, we know what Georgians and Kazakhstans look like. They have Turkic features, and some of them have like Caucasian-esque features with darker hair and stuff like that. But most Niger-Congo people are haplogroup E1B1A, which he was talking about earlier. You can just type in haplogroup E-M2, and basically it will show you this. It will show you that haplogroup E-M2 is specifically common in native Africans speaking Niger-Congo languages, and was spread to southern and eastern Africa through the Bantu expansions. And as you can see, here's a map of haplogroup E1B1A, seeing highest in the Bambalinke. Sorry for mispronouncing that. And in Yoruba, Tutsi, Mandinka, and all these people, they have like from 70% to 100%. So it's definitely our haplogroup, predominantly in our ethnic group. So lastly, I'll say haplogroup G is seen only in about 1% of African Americans, not at all in Niger-Congo groups or in Bantu people. We don't see Haplogroup G in any of these native African groups, Niger-Congo or Bantu, who are Israelites. Haplogroup G is Caucasian white people. Predominantly, it's mostly them, Caucasian whites, specifically Georgians and Kazakhstan people. Also, Haplogroup G isn't found anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa, but in the white population in South Africa. So, yeah. So if Haplogroup G isn't found in any Israelite African groups either, why, like, it's not found in any Israelite African groups. It's Gentile, it's from Japheth, and it's Torgorma, son of Gomer. So, it comes from them. It's Indo-European. So why do TEOTW and his brother have Haplogroup G? Because I know some people are like, well, why do they have Haplogroup G? How do they have it then? If most Niger-Congo people are E1B1A, then why do 1% of African Americans have G? Like, why do they have G? I'm not going to read this full article. I've done it before in the past. You can always type it in. It's called DNA Transforming African American Genealogy. You can pause this and read it, but basically most African Americans have either A, B, or E, and most of us have E, and we know that about 65% of African American males trace their lineage back to Africa, and 65% of them is going to have either A, B, or E. But most of us have E. You can read this article. You can pause it and read it right now, or type in the article. It's right here. Exactly how black is Black America. About 35% of all African Americans, males, can trace their lineage back to a white male ancestor, because we know of things like slavery, and even after slavery, during Jim Crow, there was a lot of disgusting things going on when it came to white men and black women. I'm not going to name those disgusting things, but 35% of African American males will be able to trace their lineage back to a white man. So, just to break it down, because TEOTW does mostly have, black or Israelite or Niger-Congo autosomal DNA, but why does he have like a mostly Caucasian haplogroup, which is G? So let's say you have a white man named John, and he's haplogroup G from the Caucasus, comes over to America or whatever, and he gets with a black woman. They have a mixed kid, and let's say his name is Bob. So Bob is going to be, half and half, about 50% white, 50% black. Now let's say Bob gets with a black woman, and he has a son named Greg. Let's say, so now Greg is still going to be having his grandpa's haplogroup G, but Greg is going to be mostly black than white, 75% black and 25% white, more or less, So now let's say Greg gets with a black woman as well. He's still going to be carrying, like I said, his grandpa's haplogroup G. And so Greg gets with this black woman. They have black kids. Their black male kids are going to mostly have haplogroup G from their great-grandfather. And their DNA autosomally is going to be mostly black. And it's coming from the female line, most of this blackness. And the whiteness is being pushed out. But you're still going to have haplogroup G from your grandpa or great-grandpa or great-great-great-grandpa all the way back. So it's really just that simple how they have haplogroup G, and why most African American, well, not most, excuse me, take that back, why 35%, let me be specific, why 35% of African American men, Israelite men, are going to have Y chromosomes from the descendants of Japheth, white men, Europeans, Caucasians, whatever term you want to use. But yeah, that's why. So I just want, if it's cool with you, TEOTW, to like, if we could just stop with the DNA videos, because each time just there's information that's wrong, and we can't be having inaccurate and wrong information, because the enemy can definitely use this against us. I'm glad that as an Israelite, I was able to point this out before someone like Vocab or whoever can point this out, because they can really tear us up if we start saying, the wrong numbers and then put emphasis on it and say it over and over again and then try to make points that are pretty much obsolete because you start off with inaccurate information. Like, I think you do pretty well with the end times stuff in other videos, like, the Black Portuguese being Israelites. That's good. Like, but the DNA stuff, I feel like we need to have that reserved for certain Israelites that may be in that field more. And I know you say, if you're watching this, I don't know, but I know you say that, you're in tech and all that stuff, and it's similar to DNA. Well, you're reading papers wrong, and you're calling places in wrong areas. You're saying the Balkans is in the Caucasus, and E1B1B instead of, you're saying E1B1A instead of E1B1B, and it's like, I feel like the DNA stuff probably needs to just kind of stop. I feel like Israelites are good in other areas and stronger in other areas and weaker in other areas. They have strengths and weaknesses. And for Israelite brothers and sisters who have a strength in one area, in DNA, we should let them, have that strength, or speak to, I don't want to make this a dictatorship. We can also speak to other Israelites or listen to Israelites that may point out something that's wrong, because we're all here to help each other. We're all here to make Israel better and stronger. And so, I'll be willing to, if you want to do a DNA video and you want to hear some pointers, I'll be willing to listen. I know Ron Dalton's there, and Genesis 49ers, he's another guy that talks about DNA, but we gotta do better, because I'm 22 years old, and I'm in college, and I have access to a lot of information because all I gotta do is type in like my college ID, and I can read tons of genetic papers. That's why I'm very deep into DNA, because I have I have a lot of, well, I won't say a lot of time on my hands, but I have some time on my hands, and I have free access to libraries. Well, to a certain extent, free access to libraries and genetic papers, and I take that time to read a lot of DNA studies. And the next generation of Israelites, like myself, like I said, I'm 22. The next generation, we need, we just the next generation studies a lot, and we know when things are wrong, and you can't come out the gate with wrong information, because that's either going to make or break the Israelite community. Because you guys are, I know you guys are older and stuff, and one day y'all are going to go, and we're going to come in, with our kids, and we're not going to accept information that's wrong. Like, I can't show my friends, my peers that are my age, some of this stuff, because information is just way off, and I know that they'll be like, "What are you into?" I'll be like, "Oh, bro, let's just skip here and skip there and skip there." It's like, I don't want to do all that. I kind of want our information to already be packed and loaded, And I just think about my generation, and how y'all as older people, y'all you got to be accurate with your information, because we're definitely going to fact check. We live in an age of information, and we always, at least the people that I'm around, always, will fact check you, and I know more and more of us are becoming more educated, especially our Black females are becoming more educated. I can't bring just super way off information to them and think that they're going to become an Israelite. Like, two things are going to happen to the Israelite community. We're either going to just say, "Hey, you older Black folks are just crazy. Y'all got this wrong and that wrong. We're not going to become Israelites. We're just going to become atheists, or we're just going to become, African spiritualists, whatever." Like, we can halt all that now by letting Israelites take stronger avenues. Let Israelites do things that are stronger in one area, and if you're weaker in one area, then either don't do it at all or ask for more information. All these videos we're making, I assume, is for the people that are coming, not just for the people that are here. So, you know, we gotta make sure this stuff is right so that we can show younger folks, you know, 20-year-olds like me, and we can't be showing them wrong information because they're either gonna grow up teaching that wrong information to their kids, and then the kids going to teach that wrong information. It's going to go on and on and on, you know. Or we can give them the correct information, or we can give them wrong information. Then the kids just be like, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do my own thing because you're clearly wrong and you clearly don't know what you're talking about. So that's why I'm trying to feel like I'm the youngest Israelite with the channel at the moment, and I'm just trying to parse a lot together with what's going on. And yeah, I'm kind of beat, but I'll be putting out a presentation with Israelite. I'm not gonna say his name yet. I might say his name at another date, but I'm putting together a presentation, and yeah, I'm putting out a presentation that's going to really give us a lot of information, stuff that we need, and we can't be having I can't be having people afraid of DNA because my information is going to have a lot of DNA when I bring out my presentation. And I just want to say, TEOTW, if you're watching this, can you wait on if you trust haplogroups or not until I put out this presentation? And once you see it, after that, you know, if you agree with it, then cool. If you disagree, then all right, we can talk about it. But can you wait before you put out any DNA videos until I put out this presentation? And I want you to see it, and we'll go from there, you know. And I'll go ahead and tell you who it is. It's a Divine Prospect. I'm doing a presentation with Divine Prospect. And when I bring out this presentation, I'm going to be giving the community a wealth of information, and hopefully y'all like it. It's going to be completely different than how I'm doing, you know, these videos. And you know, also one more thing before I end this video, I don't want people hitting his DMs or rushing to his YouTube page and heading on TOTW or calling him out. Like, I guess you can privately email him, but even when you privately email him, you know, be nice and respectful. Hopefully I was nice and respectful in this video. But yeah, just, you know, can we hold off on the DNA at least until I bring out my information that can really help us? Because I noticed and on Brian TV's channel, G-Con is his name? I think it is. G-Con brought out Jed Match and things like that. And I've heard Vocaf bring out the Cohen modal haplotype. And so we definitely know that our, I don't want to say enemy, but our counterparts, I'll say that our counterparts definitely use DNA. And we shouldn't be afraid to use DNA. We should hit them head on with their own information. And I, by the way, can debunk the Cohen modal haplotype and a lot of different things with DNA, but y'all have to wait for that. But yeah, I think I'll end it right here. I would probably like edit out that part where you talk about DNA, TOTW. Hopefully we have no hard feelings. Hopefully, you know, you're not too mad or whatever. But yeah, shalom, and have a blessed day, evening, night, or whatever. All right, bye.